All right, Warp Tour. Ray Haycraft here with Fuel the Scene magazine, and I have Patty here.
We're from As It Is, and we're here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's probably going to be a fun time. Who knows?
So how has your Warped been thus far?
It's been fun. It's been really fun. I mean, it's been grueling at times. I mean, Warped is always, but this is day 19 of 20 straight days. So my body and my mind are just about getting through it. But like we're surrounded by like new and old friends. It's been an awesome time. Yeah.
How does it feel playing this last tour?
It feels really surreal. I mean, I don't know if it feels right just yet. I don't know if it feels real just yet. It's just kind of like we're out here living every day. It's kind of Groundhog Day, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it'll be bittersweet when it comes to a close, but for right now, we're just having a really good time making the most of it.
What do you think is going to happen with this void in the music industry? I know that's a question that everybody's asking, but
Yeah.
how do you feel that's going to affect the music scene?
I don't know if there will be a kind of reincarnation of Warped Tour, if there will be like Warped Festival or Warped Tour East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, who knows? Or maybe somebody else will take it upon themselves to kind of fill the void. We'll just kind of wait and see. It'll take losing something as iconic as Warped Tour to realize kind of what we had, what we missed, and what the scene needs.
Absolutely. I hope that someone else steps up and takes that, especially for new bands,
Of
like
course.
for young bands.
Of course.
That was the bucket list. That was the thing that could, make you or break you, and everyone just
Absolutely.
wanted to, if you could just get on Warped. But
That's right, and I mean the thing that's going to be missed most about Warped Tour is like discovering your next favorite band. There's nothing on the scale of Warped Tour to kind of accommodate this many up and coming bands. There are bands working catering just to play, and it's so cool how accommodating Warped has been to those bands. Some of them are like my best friends out here, and it's pretty cool. I think we're gonna miss it. Discovering your new favorite band on Spotify is nothing like discovering them at Warped Tour. We can have a conversation. You can like feel the kind of power and the message of the performance. So we'll wait and see if that comes back in any kind of capacity in the future.
I hope so. I do. So you all have a new record that is going to drop any second now. Well, in August.
Yeah, soon. Way too
Very,
soon.
very soon.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about?
I'm most excited for it to just exist in the world. It's existed in our minds for a year and a half. It's been our project and our baby. We started writing it before our second record was out, so it's like we've been so invested in this process for a long time. It's just the reward of the feedback and what people think, whether people kind of accept it or don't. It's going to be so exciting, and I can't wait.
And it's a concept album,
Yeah,
which is really, really cool. And for a lot of bands, they think that's really taking a risk to be able to dedicate an album to
Yeah.
a concept like that. How do you feel?
It was a risk. We had a really good thing going. The band was doing just fine, and we, for a while we were in a pretty negative headspace in this band, didn't know if this would be our last record, so we took a lot of risks. And embraced a lot of things that were outside the box at best. And yeah, it was this. The thing is, nobody joins a band because it's a good idea. Like nobody
You have no idea how true that is.
nobody joins a band or like covers their body in like tattoos and piercings because it's the right thing to do. So I don't understand why any band in our position would censor themselves or filter themselves creatively in that same sense. It's like we're all here doing something that we care about, and if we're denying ourselves what we believe is our best art or what's going to fulfill us the most, we're not ultimately honoring why we started a band in the first place. So that's what it was about. It was about just being like artistically free, not caring about genre or smart decisions or whatever. It was just like, let's just make a record we want to make.
And how has that writing process been different than the previous album?
Very different. It's been good question. I mean, like more and less collaborative in certain ways where we were just writing all the time. So I'd be writing alone a lot of the time. Ben would write lyrics and songs alone a lot of the time. But we also came together more than we had to just really like flush out ideas and kind of take this idea to where it was finished. And we worked with a producer named Machine, who is incredible. He's just a wild madman of a producer. And he just brought out these things that we never expected would kind of, see the light of day in this band. So it was just, overall, it was just such a cool experience. It was just like a rebirth for our band, for sure.
Do you feel like doing a concept album allows you to explore things that you may not?
Yeah,
in a
no,
typical
certainly,
album?
certainly. we were worried this record was going to be less personal, being about somebody else. So the record is still in first person. It's about somebody called the Poet and his journey. But there are certain truths in myself and our other lyricist Ben and everybody in this band. I think this is like the most ownership anybody kind of feels with a previous As It Is record. But yeah, no, it's. I hope this still kind of like reads as personal as it still is to us. It's just, not about me and my thoughts and my feelings. Maybe it's just a result of getting older, but we wanted to write a record that was a little more like mature than that. So, yeah.
Can you explain just the general concept to those who haven't read about it yet?
So it's about someone called the Poet, who's an artist or a musician or whatever you want to interpret that as, who creates art about his own mental health and his own suicidal thoughts to the point where he kind of becomes a prophet to certain people, and the guilt of that wears away at him until he isolates himself from everybody he loves, like his wife, and he becomes so desensitized to the idea of death and suicide that death just appears before him as an acquaintance, not really as an antagonist. It's just kind of he is now stuck in between these two people who ultimately believe they're doing what's best for him. And that leads to his journey, his kind of, and decision, ultimately. Yeah, so.
Wow, that's very, very powerful.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
you've always been that band that was able to articulate those kind of issues and like
Right.
really talk about something so honest that people are going through.
Right.
Do you still feel the same personal attachment to these lyrics?
I do. Oh my gosh. Yeah, on an entirely other level. But it was just, we started asking ourselves whether this conversation we were having was beneficial to the cause or detrimental to the cause of destigmatizing mental health issues. We never wanted to be responsible for glorifying or romanticizing certain things that would ultimately not be the right thing to do. So we just had to make sure that it was still personal to us. We never kind of like preach or give advice to other people because we're not therapists or counselors. So it's just reflecting our thoughts and feelings and our beliefs. So it's very similar there, where we don't offer many answers. We just kind of offer a lot of questions.
Well, it's a conversation that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
So what else, with the record coming out August 10th, I believe?
It is, yeah.
What else is going to drop with this cycle? Do you have some videos and things people can get excited about?
We do. We have a lot more on the way. It's going to be really exciting, really ambitious and cool. But more so, we've held back a lot of singles. I think it's kind of commonplace in 2018 for listeners to have heard half or more of the record before it's been released. So
That's not exciting when it comes out.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't feel like Christmas Day when that album comes out. So we really wanted to withhold them, and we've only released 2 singles so far. So there will be 10 that nobody's heard, and it'll be exciting.
That's awesome. You lose some of the mystery of just
course.
being able to. That's why it's kind of awesome when bands just surprise drop.
That's
things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's really
That's what I'm saying.
cool.
Like, I understand that strategically it makes sense. But again, we're not in a band because we care about strategies. Like, we care about doing stuff we think is cool, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel like with your previous album, which you said you were already writing this one when that one was coming out, do you feel like any of the songs have evolved as you've been playing them over the last
I'm
cycle?
sure they have. That's really interesting. I'm sure they have. There's certain, just kind of like changes in like timing and riffs, and it's always so funny listening back to the recorded versions once we've like got the live version in our head for so long, and I kind of forget that certain things go the way they do. It's because we don't listen to our own band that often, so it's just kind of like we put the new record on today because we got the physical CDs in our hand for the first time, and we're like, oh wow, like even some of the songs that we've only been playing for 2 or 3 months have already started to change, and that's really funny to me.
So how many songs are you playing live off of the new album?
We're playing 2.
Okay, those 2 that have been released.
The 2 that have been released, yeah. And because we only have 6 songs out here anyway, so it's like.
Well, how do you decide that you're set?
It's really interesting because we played some of the darker songs off OK instead of some of the singles because it better kind of indicates where this record's going, and it kind of segues easier into these new singles. And they're still fan favorites, so it's not like they go down well. They go down really well, and it's fine. But yeah, it's definitely, we're becoming a much darker, more aggressive band, so it made sense.
If you had to pick one song off of any of your releases that is the most poignant to you, what would that be?
Probably OK. That song is very kind of just transparent and candid, and how low I was and the help that I started getting when I got to that point. And it was really important for me to learn those things the hard way, I suppose. I mean, nobody taught me how to care about myself and to look after myself on tour or at home. And those were just lessons that I learned. And I think those songs have helped a lot of people, but it's helped me just kind of,
cathartic.
Growing and learning them, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else you would like our fans watching at home to know, keep an eye out for? Obviously, the album coming
just
out
check
and all
out the album.
excitement.
Listen to it however you want. You don't have to buy it. Just check it out. That's all that we care about.
You don't have to buy it.
You don't have to. Just listen to it. It's about art. It's not about money. So,
Do you have any other words of wisdom that you would like to impart?
Stay hydrated at Warped Tour. That's advice for myself as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time with us, and have a great rest of your Warped.
You too. Thank you.